Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. So the Olympics are starting off today on this special Saturday episode that I'm doing. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what USA can do, not just basketball, but overall. Can we get the most gold? I'll be looking forward to that. I won't be paying close, like very, very close attention per se. I'll just kind of like pick my spots here and there. So I won't be talking about the Olympics much, but I mean, USA basketball starts tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. So with training camps approaching now, and some have already started, um, it's good news in a way because football is back, and we're about to have those preseason games in the NFL, and then around a month or so, then we're getting closer to college football games as well. But then it's also bad news because there are some teams that might have a player still injured or they get injured all of a sudden, and it kind of derails their season. So let's talk about that. So this is very old news. This has been buried. I haven't been able to get to this, but Rams running back Cam Akers tore his Achilles working out, and he's out for the season. This is big for the Rams. He was coming off at the end of last season as a top 15 running back, in my opinion, borderline top 10. He was doing that well. Now, I know one player shouldn't be the end all be all, but unless your starting quarterback gets hurt, then I typically, say, well, you might be able to still survive. But this is a big deal. Stafford in a new offense is going to have to throw so many times like he did at Detroit, as as we saw with Pittsburgh with Big Ben, even though he's older than Stafford, like you have to throw too many times. More often than not, it's not going to end well, especially towards the end of the season. So that'll be kind of something to keep your eyes on. Now, the Rams still have Henderson, but there's a reason why he went third on the depth chart last year after Akers and then Malcolm Brown, who left in free agency. So I assume the Rams will pick up another running back, but even no matter who they pick up, this is going to cost them. For me, I thought their ceiling was going to the NFC title game. That's what I thought their ceiling was, but now their ceiling is just wild card round exit, in my opinion. That's how much it hurts. Because you got to be able to have a running game or to go to the Super Bowl. Another big piece of injury news is Michael Thomas being out to start the season. No one knows exactly how long. If I had a guess, I'd probably say in between 5 to 7 weeks. That's my guess, but we'll see. But this is big news as well. You may think, since they won a lot of games last year without him, that they can survive again without him. But that was A, Drew Brees as your quarterback, and then B, you had Emmanuel Sanders there and Jared Cook there. But the problem is, you lost Emmanuel Sanders to the Bills and Jared Cook to the Chargers. So now you have Traquan Smith, who's like a third receiver, in my opinion, having to be the number one wide receiver while Malcolm's out. And Deontay Harris, he's never been like a true receiver for the Saints. He's just kind of been, jet sweeps or Hail Mary, or very Hail Marys or, kickoff or punt returns type of guy. So it's like, what does he have? And then they have Marquise Callaway, but it's just like he's unproven. And they have Alden Trotman, who's shown some flashes, but he's very, very young and still needs more experience. So with those lack of weapons, this becomes like the Patriots, where you have Alvin Kamara, which is good, and you have a good running game, good offensive line, all that. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So good luck trying to do much. But this becomes very interesting now as far as the quarterback battle goes, because this is a disadvantage for Taysom Hill, but also an advantage for Taysom Hill. Now let me explain. For the people who are on the Taysom Hill's a gadget guy, well, if you're Sean Payton, it's like, well, since we're lacking experience, lacking depth, it's like, sorry, Taysom, like I know you want to start, but we really need you as a wide receiver, tight end. Like, please help us out. So that could be a problem for Taysom Hill. Although, since he's been training as a quarterback throughout the whole summer, to all of a sudden just be thrown in to being a receiver, I feel like it takes more time and more training and all that. And you don't want to have a freak injury or something because he wasn't playing to be in wide receiver shape, just quarterback shape. So that's something to think about. But they could just say, sorry, you're going to go wide receiver. Or the reason why it also could be an advantage is because, in a way, Taysom Hill starting is actually better, and here's why. If you're looking at Jameis Winston, without that Michael Thomas there, with a lot, unproven, or lack of star wide receivers, you have a couple options. Jameis Winston, if Jameis Winston A could since the receivers aren't getting enough separation, he could be trying to force things, which can lead to multiple interceptions, like we know he can do. Or let's say that's gotten out of him, then he's either going to have to A, throw a lot of incompletions, or B, he'll just scramble for his best. But I mean, a couple yards, maybe that's it. Nothing good there. Versus Taysom Hill, where let's say he's not going to try to force picks, like force the ball in there per se, like Jameis Winston will a lot. So if it's not there, he can then take off a run, and instead of getting with like 3 scramble yards like Winston would, maybe you can get 8 or 9 yards by scrambling out. So therefore, you get a big play out of it. Because Camaro, while he's still there, like he can't be open and available every single time, especially since teams might be doubling him or like something like that, and they may force you to go to a wide receiver instead of Camaro. So I feel like that's why, and this is also an advantage for Taysom Hill as far as now. I feel like he should start. So also, some more college football realignment talk and news has been happening recently. So apparently Texas and Oklahoma has been planning on moving to SEC for a while now. Source says it's been worked on for a minimum of 6 months already. So way to keep a secret there, Texas, Oklahoma. Now, if they want to leave before the TV contract expire, they have to wait at least 18 months, and then they have to pay around $76-80 million buyout fee, which is interesting because of those TV contracts. But it sounds like they're still willing to do all that. But now they are heard as soon as Monday, but probably for another week or two, they'll formally say, hey, we're leaving and we want to go to the SEC, and then the SEC can extend an invite, which I've heard everyone should approve at A&M, so I feel like that should happen. And then also, because of this, now you're hearing different rumors or sources coming out from different Big 12 teams. Like, for example, TCU is reaching out to the Pac-12. Remember my scenario 2 from my last podcast? I talked about that. And they also said that Texas Tech and Baylor, if they do leave the Big 12, might join them in the Pac-12. Again, that's what I talked about. It's my scenario 2, exactly word for word there. Now, they also did say that Kansas is looking to join the Big 10, where if the Big 10 is willing to go plus 6 teams, let's say 18 teams or something like that, then Kansas to the Big 10, I feel like can happen. It's just depending on what the Big 10 does. Because if the Big 10 wants to go 16, they may say, oh, we'd rather do Oklahoma State and Iowa State, for example, and therefore it's like, okay, that leaves Kansas out. So even despite their good men's basketball program, but they're trying to join the Big 10 now. So it looks like that scenario 2 is kind of gaining momentum right now. But I'm still not going to give up on scenario 1, where it's just, the SEC gets Texas, Oklahoma, and then the Big 12 adds teams. The Big 12 had like a meeting the other night with all the other teams, with the ADs and school presidents and all that. Well, Texas, Oklahoma wasn't there. That's a big deal. But also, they did mention briefly like a plan as far as if they're going to add teams, who to add. Like, they'll definitely be looking to try to poach teams, but then also they are going to look to add some other teams like UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, Houston, SMU. So they're definitely looking at that route as well. So and also there's another rumor that the Big 12 and Big 12 talked about even merging to form like a 20-team super conference. I don't think that's a good idea at all, because not every Big 12 team is fit for the Pac-12. Like, especially West Virginia, that would be a long, that clearly doesn't make any sense there. So I don't think that one's going to gain steam later, but we'll see. Now, as far as if you don't remember which scenarios I laid out in my last podcast, please go look at it. It explains there. But this will be kind of interesting to see as we get more and more into this. What's going to happen? I'm not sure what's going to happen, because right now it looks like scenario 2 might be happening, and then all of a sudden traction for scenario 1 comes about, or let's say scenario 3 happens, because the Pac-12 commissioner, I mean, he said like, oh, we're an exclusive club and all that. And it's like, we're not going to poach any teams, but we choose not to listen. So like, we'll hear you out if you want to join. So that'll be kind of interesting to see what happens there. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, tell them about me. Thank you very much. You have a good weekend and have a fun, being with family and all that. Enjoying yourself, and I look forward to coming back next week. Now, I'm not sure how many podcasts I'll do next week, because I'll be more busy next week than I was this week, but we'll see. Again, thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel, tell them about me, and y'all have a wonderful weekend.